Hello and welcome. I'm Sam, and today I'm joined by Helen, and together we're going to discuss how to improve your negotiation skills. Helen, it's so great to have you here today.
Thanks so much, Sam. I'm thrilled to be here. Negotiation is such a crucial skill, and not just for business deals. It's something we use every day in our personal lives, too. Whether it's negotiating with family, friends, or even at the grocery store, it's all about getting what we need while maintaining positive relationships.
Absolutely. So many people associate negotiation with corporate meetings or high-stakes job interviews. But in reality, it's something that affects nearly every part of our daily lives. Whether you're discussing vacation plans with a partner, negotiating a project timeline at work, or even trying to get a better deal on your phone bill, negotiation is everywhere.
That's so true. And the funny thing is, many people don't realize they're negotiating in those situations. Negotiation is really just about coming to an agreement that satisfies both parties involved. It's a two-way conversation where both sides express their needs, desires, and expectations. And it's important to remember that, at its core, negotiation is about collaboration, not confrontation.
Exactly. The word negotiation often evokes thoughts of conflict or competition, but it really doesn't have to be that way. Ideally, both sides should walk away from a negotiation feeling like they've achieved a positive outcome. So, today, Helen, we'll dive deep into the skills that can help anyone become a more effective negotiator. But first, let's talk about the common mistakes people make when they approach negotiations.
Great idea, Sam. One of the biggest mistakes people make is not being clear about what they want before entering the negotiation. You'd be surprised how often people go into a negotiation without fully understanding their own goals or priorities. It's easy to get distracted by the other person's demands and lose sight of what you need to achieve. Without clarity on your own goals, it's difficult to advocate for them effectively.
That's such a great point. And it ties into something else I often see: people focusing on convincing the other party, but they don't take the time to truly listen or understand the other side's needs. It's all about communication, right? Effective negotiation involves not just expressing your own interests, but also listening actively to the other person to find common ground.
Exactly. And listening is a skill many people overlook. Too often, we're so focused on what we want to say next that we don't fully absorb what the other person is telling us. This can cause misunderstandings or missed opportunities for collaboration. So, one of the first skills we should work on improving is active listening. This doesn't just mean hearing the words, it's about understanding the feelings and motivations behind them.
Yes, and that's where empathy plays a big role. Empathy is crucial for understanding why the other person feels the way they do. If you can empathize with their perspective, you can engage in a way that makes the negotiation more about problem solving than simply trying to win or lose.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people approach negotiation with a win-lose mentality. They see it as a battle where only one person can walk away on top. But in reality, the best negotiations are win-win situations where both sides feel like they've gained something valuable. A true win-win negotiation requires you to be genuinely interested in the needs of the other party and to look for creative solutions that work for both sides.
I completely agree. That's why I always tell my clients that they should enter a negotiation with an open mind. It's not just about making your own position stronger, it's about finding a solution that benefits everyone involved. Now, let's talk about some of the key skills people should focus on to improve their negotiation abilities.
Sure. One skill that cannot be overstated is active listening. We mentioned this briefly, but it really deserves more attention. Active listening means not just hearing what the other person is saying, but also making an effort to truly understand their perspective. You want to show that you're engaged and that you value their input. This can be achieved by nodding, maintaining eye contact, and using verbal affirmations like, "I see," "I understand," or "tell me more about that."
Absolutely. And this is where body language becomes incredibly important. Studies have shown that a large portion of communication is nonverbal. So, when you're engaged in a negotiation, your body language should reflect that you're attentive and open. For instance, leaning forward slightly, keeping your posture open, and using gestures can signal to the other party that you're interested and receptive to what they're saying.
Yes. Nonverbal cues can make a huge difference. And here's something else to think about: silence. Many people are uncomfortable with silence, so they feel the need to fill it with words. But strategically using silence in a negotiation can be a powerful tool. When there's a pause, it gives both parties a moment to think, and it can put gentle pressure on the other person to speak up or offer more information.
I love that point. Silence is so underrated. It can be a way to communicate confidence and patience. People often underestimate how effective it is to just remain quiet for a moment instead of rushing to fill the space with words. Now, Helen, let's dive a little deeper into empathy. How can we apply empathy more effectively in a negotiation?
Empathy is about understanding the emotions and perspectives of the other party. When you show empathy, it doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say, but it shows that you're acknowledging their feelings and concerns. A simple phrase like, "I can understand how you might feel that way," or "It sounds like that's really important to you," can help build rapport and trust.
That's such a simple but powerful way to build rapport. And when trust is established, the negotiation becomes a lot smoother. People are more likely to collaborate when they feel heard and understood. Another thing I'd recommend is asking open-ended questions. Instead of asking questions that lead to a yes or no answer, ask questions that require the other person to elaborate on their thoughts and needs.
Exactly. Open-ended questions are great for encouraging dialogue and exploring the interests behind the positions people take. For instance, instead of asking, "Do you agree with my proposal?" try asking, "What do you think about the solution? How do you feel about it?" This invites the other person to share more information and opens the door to a more productive conversation.
That's a great tip. And it's not just about what we say, but also when we say it. Timing in negotiation is critical. Timing refers to when you make certain offers or concessions. If you offer too soon, you might appear desperate or unprepared. On the other hand, if you wait too long, you could miss the opportunity. So, knowing when to make your move is a key part of strategy.
Absolutely. And let's talk about preparation for a moment. One of the most important things to remember in negotiation is to always prepare. You should never go into a negotiation without knowing your own needs and goals, as well as having a solid understanding of the other party's needs. Researching the person or company you're negotiating with can also give you valuable insights into their motivations and priorities.
Right? Preparation is everything. If you don't know what your alternatives are, or what your ideal outcome is, you're at a disadvantage. The more you prepare, the more confident you'll feel during the negotiation. It's also important to prepare for potential objections or concerns that might arise. Anticipating these challenges allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that flexibility is also key. While preparation is critical, it's equally important to remain flexible during the process. Sometimes things won't go as planned, and you might need to adapt your approach or even your position. Being rigid can cause negotiations to stall, so being open to change is essential.
Flexibility really is essential. Negotiation is rarely a straightforward process. You may need to be creative in finding solutions that work for both sides. And when you approach a negotiation as a problem-solving exercise rather than a battle, you're much more likely to find mutually beneficial outcomes.
Exactly. It's also important to stay calm. Emotions can run high in negotiations, especially when stakes are high. But it's important to keep your emotions in check. When we stay calm and composed, we're able to think more clearly and make better decisions. On the flip side, when we let emotions take over, we might make rash decisions that we regret later.
That's such an important point, Helen. Emotional intelligence plays a huge role in negotiating effectively. And finally, let's talk about closing the deal. After all the discussions and back and forth, how do we bring a negotiation to a successful close?
Closing the deal is one of the most critical parts of any negotiation. To do it effectively, you need to ensure that both sides are on the same page. Summarize the main points and make sure both parties agree on the terms. If there are any lingering concerns, address them before finalizing the deal. And don't be afraid to ask for the commitment. Once you've reached an agreement, be sure to confirm the details and get a commitment in writing if possible.
Perfect. So, whether you're negotiating at work, with friends, or in your personal life, It's all about creating a win-win outcome where both sides feel heard, valued, and respected. Helen, this has been such a great conversation. I've learned a lot myself.
Thanks, Sam. It's been a pleasure. I hope our listeners can take away some valuable strategies and start applying them to their own negotiations. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep honing those skills.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you'll take these tips and use them to elevate your negotiation game. Until next time. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can also turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest videos. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.